Well, Season 2's been and gone here at the Leipzig Loko at Lokomotive Leipzig, and unfortunately we just missed out on the Bundesliga 2 playoff by one spot, so unfortunately another season for us in the Free Liga, and also unfortunately we are nearly £1 million in debt. I think this time we do really need to try and help sort that out. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 19 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well and come out today. It is a transfer special heading in to the third season of the save yet again. It will be in the Free Liga. Also, if we don't do too many deals, we might also play the first game of the season, but we'll see how long I go before we do get to that point. So if you're looking forward to the transfers that we will hopefully do despite the fact we don't have any money at all in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on that notification bell as well if you have not done so already. It is greatly appreciated. But at the end of the last episode, of course, we did the end of season review and finished the season, hence why we are doing the transfer special today. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Here's how the league table did finish once we do get to it. As you can see, the team that did finish third, Erzgebirge, are now up in the 2 Bundesliga for next year, which is actually quite a relief because hopefully won't have to pronounce that name quite so much, but we finished in fourth in the end, quite a distance behind those guys. But I'm pretty sure still that does mean we are going to make our way into the DFB Pokal for this upcoming season. Thankfully, something a little bit different. We will have some cup football to mix in with another season in the Free Liga. But the other thing that we do need to sort out first of all is the fact that our contract is expiring at the end of this upcoming season. We tried to get renewed during the course of the past season, but the club, due to the finances, weren't willing to do that. Thankfully, we are now being offered a new contract. That helps out greatly, obviously, because now we can actually start to focus on transfers properly. They do want to offer us a wage of £2,100 a week. We are currently on a wage of £1,700. So I actually think we might just talk them down a little bit here to hopefully inject some money into other areas of the club. Obviously, we are going to stay here at Lokomotive Leipzig. We might even just go down to 1.8, just get a very slight pay rise and also keep that promotion wage rise if we do go up to the 2 Bundesliga at the end of this season and in a few seasons' time. And there you can see the board have accepted it. It's a 2-year contract at £1,800 a week, and that does mean we are going to be sticking around for a bit longer, which of course is nice in a one club save like this one. But also, I suppose, going to this transfer window, we do need to actually try this time. We were looking to do it halfway through the season last year, but in the end couldn't quite do enough. This time we do need to actually try and sort out the finances. Nearly £1 million in debt here at Lokomotive Leipzig, already based on committed spending over our wage budget by around £1,000, no transfer budget, and somehow the scouting budget is £5,000 over. So we have no money at all at the moment to do any transfers. So we're going to need to try and sort some stuff out, maybe sell some of those high earners who didn't perform quite as well last season, looking at the likes of Nico Reblay in particular on £2,000 a week. I think we can do just fine without him, and with Linus Zimmer as our first choice left back, so he might be a player we do look at selling. Also in the squad, if we go over and have a look at the reports and the potential of these players, there is Tobias Domblower, who is already transfer listed. He is on £750 a week. He would be a good player to get rid of. And also Mike Eaglesetter, he's been pretty good for us, but is only on that 3-star potential, albeit still 3-star current ability. £950 a week. We might see if we can get a decent bid come in for him. Otherwise, though, pretty happy with the rest of the squad that we do have here, and most of them are on contracts or are about to renew contracts to stay here at the club. But we might just see what happens over the course of this transfer window. If any good bids do come in, we'll probably be forced into accepting them just because of the financial situation at the club, and hopefully we can get some money in and then try and improve the squad in some way. We do have some players who are arriving come the start of the season when we do tick over into July, but we won't show you those guys just yet, just in case the board do decide we don't have enough money to sign them, because I'm very wary of the financial situation here at the club. All those players are only on £300 a week coming from some Bundesliga clubs being released and being quite young, so we could juggle some pieces if those players are a bit better than we are expecting, and hopefully that is the case. It might mean we can get rid of some higher wage earners in those areas, but we'll reveal those players once we do get through to the start of July. But definitely looking to fix the financial situation just a little bit here in this transfer window heading into our second season in the Free Liga. And going forward a few weeks off the back of where we did start today's episode, as you can see already, the finances in terms of the overall balance at the club have improved. That is off the back of TV rights for the Free Liga for this upcoming season, so that was very useful. But for some reason, that scouting budget has now moved over onto our transfer budget. The scouting budget, though, is a lot better at £28,000, actually just under 29,000. So we should be fine to do some scouting for this upcoming season at the moment. Can't move that over into the transfer budget. Also, wage budget is now over off the back of renewing some of those contracts, which we did do during the course of last season. Now that we are in the new season, also have got our schedule for the new season. As you can see, taking on a few teams first up, who we did face off against late last season in RWSN and Weham Westbarton. But off the back of that, we start to take on a few new teams to the Free Liga. If we have a look at the table for this upcoming season, a lot more teams who are the seconds to a team up in the Bundesliga. Of course, the Dortmund seconds did get relegated down to one of the regional Liga divisions, but FC Bayern, Hoffenheim, Kiel and Schalke all have their second teams in this division. That means that those teams can't get promoted up any further. That could potentially just make it a little bit easier for us to get promoted if one of those teams does have a good season. So hopefully, if we do end up behind some teams, it will be the seconds of someone like FC Bayern who are going to stay in this division no matter what. And also, going back to that schedule list, we are entering the first round of the DFB Pokal right at the start of August. So that might be something that we do have to come back for fairly early in this new season if we don't play any games in today's episode. If we do find a way to drum up some transfer budget and do some work there, and something has just happened which could help us in that regard finally, of being able to get the board here to look for a suitable senior affiliate. So hopefully we find a good one, we can get some free loans of some good young players, and that might just allow us a bit more freedom to move on some players going into this upcoming season and help reduce our wage budget, which is key at the moment because we are over that by just over £1,000 a week, and that's only going to get worse if those free signings which we did make do join us in a week or so's time. But hopefully this is something which will prove very beneficial for a club like ours, low on money. We should be getting a senior affiliate before the start of the new season. And we have gone forward to officially the start of the new season at the start of July, and as you can see, the transfer window has started for free transfers. We have got rid of one player, albeit someone from our youth team with not much potential, only £25 a week off of the wage budget, but 5 players have joined us here at Lokomotive Leipzig. These are the players we did sign off the back of entering the last 6 months of last season, and all of them are now at the club. It does mean in terms of our wage budget, we are now in a really bad place, £3,500 over, so hopefully we can find a way to balance that out. But to be fair, these players who we have signed do look fairly decent. So going back down to the article, all players from 2 Bundesliga teams, either RB Leipzig or Bayer Leverkusen, and all of them at least do have 2-star current ability, decent signings, and only on £300 a week. So hopefully we might be able to get rid of some players with not much more current ability on much higher wages and replace them with these guys in the first team. That could be a way to go about trying to lower that wage budget, which is currently way over what it should be. But here are the players that we are signing, and probably the only ones we are going to be signing for this upcoming season here at Lokomotive Leipzig. First up, Daniel Ahendu. He is a centre-back who can also cover right-back, formerly of RB Leipzig, also spent a loan spell out at Lichtenberg, of course, who were the team that challenged us in the first season for the title down in the regional Liga Nordos. 2.5-star current ability, might even have 5-star potential. He is a good option for the future, and maybe could be someone to replace a player like Mike Eaglesetter. If we give him some regular game time, hopefully he can reach that potential. So I think that's a pretty good signing for £300 a week, even though we probably can't really afford it. Next up, Anton Bulland. He was formerly also of RB Leipzig, actually made one appearance for the senior team. Also has 2.5-star current ability, slightly less potential at 4.5 stars with 3.5 goal, but is potentially 2 Bundesliga standard, can play both left wing and in the midfield. I think he is the player who will now be the backup to Osman Atilgan out left, and that means that we can actually get rid of Dombrowa and be safe in that area, should get a fair bit of game time if that is going to be the case. And again, quite a promising player who hopefully can reach that potential with lots of game time. So already 2 good signings there on these free transfers. Next up is Luca Wayner, slightly less current ability with 2 stars, but again, he has 5 stars potential, so could be a good player if we do give him a bit of game time off the bench this upcoming season. He is from Bayer Leverkusen and he plays in central midfield, so that is now ideal because the past year we only really had Julian Weigl as backup in that central midfield area, so at least we now have another body in that part of the field. But again, another promising player on £300 a week. Going down, Tim Lehmann is the 4th of these signings, 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential with 4 of it gold, another midfielder. So now quite a bit of depth in that area. Maybe we can look to get rid of one of our previous midfielders if a good bid does come in for any of them, formerly of RB Leipzig. So he has made the good move over at 18 years old. And our final signing from last season with these free transfers, who thankfully were able to join the club, was Lino Labonte. He is another centre-back, 2-star current ability, 5-star potential, albeit potentially only 3 Liga standard compared to those previous ones, who I believe all were potentially 2 Bundesliga standard, but he was formerly of Bayer Leverkusen. Just that one position he can play, albeit does have a slight red dot there at right wing, which is a little bit odd. But those are 5 signings that we have made on freeze, all of them, as I said, £300 a week, and decent players with enough potential who might be worth giving some game time to in the first team. So now with that wage budget being £3,500 over, it might be a good time to try and get rid of some of our high earners here at the club. And it's taken a while, but we've finally got someone out of the door here at Lokomotive Leipzig, and as I suggested right at the start of the episode, it was the player who in the end proved to be a bit of a waste of space for the £2,000 a week that we were giving him last season in Nico Reblay. Of course, he was also the club captain, but I think Linus Zimmer is a better option with 3 stars current ability and 5 of potential. Nico Reblay goes to Gornik Lechner. For £40,000, we don't get that much of that because he does have 25% of the sell-on fee, and also we only get 35% of transfer revenue retained. But still, that's £2,000 a week now off of our wage budget. So that goes down now to being over by around about 1,500, so a bit more manageable, a few more player sales, and we should be able to get on the right side of that. But just one season here last year, did play most games at left back, actually did it right for us late in the season. We did try him at centre back, but just didn't really perform as well as you would hope for one of the top earners at the club. And having signed him on a free transfer, getting £40,000 for him is a pretty good deal. And also, while it doesn't quite fix our issue with the wage budget, it certainly helps the transfer budget that is now in the positive. And having adjusted that, in fact, the wage budget is now just under minus £1,000, so it certainly helped, but hopefully we can get rid of a few more players like Dombrowa and get on the more positive side of that wage budget going into the new season. And the good news keeps on coming here in the off-season at Lokomotive Leipzig. We did get some suggestions to be picking our senior affiliate from. As you can see, the options were Bayer Leverkusen, Eintracht Frankfurt, Hamburg, who are down in the 2 Bundesliga compared to the other teams in the Bundesliga, and also Hanover. But as you can see, we actually chose Eintracht Frankfurt. Usually would have gone for Bayer Leverkusen with better facilities in terms of the youth training, but Eintracht Frankfurt had a lot more players who were available for loan according to the screen when we did make the decision. So that is why we have chosen those guys. In terms of position last year, these guys finished 5th, while Bayer Leverkusen did finish in 4th. So not too much difference there, but there is a rundown of Eintracht Frankfurt. They are currently being managed by Oliver Glasner, and they have a fair few players by the looks of it who we can hopefully get on loan and not have to pay their wages. So again, that might free us up to get rid of some players currently at the club. Also got just shy of £50,000 as well for that deal each year, and that obviously means as well the finances continue to get just a little bit better, albeit still, of course, the wage budget is over and the transfer budget not too big, but still it's on the improve, and hopefully it means we can get some good youngsters out of Eintracht Frankfurt for this upcoming season. And another player is out the door here at Lokomotive Leipzig going into this upcoming season, albeit this one is only a loan because he is a player with a bit of potential, but off the back of getting a few centre-backs from free signings that we did make last year, having just arrived on £300 a week, did feel like Kylian Zaruba was being a bit overpaid on 550, so we are going to loan him out because he does actually have a decent bit of potential, so ideally would be a player that we do keep around for the future once the wage budget does get sorted out, but hopefully loaning this guy out does mean he'll get a decent chunk of game time compared to what he has got at the club so far, and he is off on loan to Lübeck. They are a team who are down in the regional Liga Nords. That should be a division where he can get a fair bit of game time, and thankfully Lübeck are paying all of his wages. He will only be a fringe player, but should still get more game time than he would have gotten here, because some of those players who are new to the club are a bit better looking in terms of their attributes. A Kylian Zaruba will leave the club. That will be an extra £550 a week going off of our wage budget. And if we move forward, you'll see what that does to the finances. Now we are only £280 in the reds, not far off at all from getting on the right side of that wage budget, finally steadily improving the club finances. And we come back in the middle of July, only a few weeks prior to the start of the new Free Liga season, and this one could be a little bit controversial. We have got rid of Khalid Abdulrahmane, one of our starters in the midfield. You might have spotted this one being in the works from that previous update on that loan of Zaruba, but we did improve in that midfield area, or at least add some extra depth in it with those free signings, and he was on £1,300 a week and had gone down to 3-star current ability and potential according to our coaching staff. So I did feel like at 28 years old might be the right time to get rid of Abdulrahmane, get that wage off of the books with those new players coming on £1,000 a week less. So we have got rid of Khalid Abdulrahmane, a little bit controversial, but of course we do have Julian Weigl, who can step up into that first team spot, and those new youngsters who we have signed will be able to step up onto the bench. But of course he was a pretty good player for us last season, 6.96, 8 goals, 7 assists, and also really good in that first season when we were down in the regional Liga Nordos. Was signed on a free, and we did get £55,000 from, again, didn't get a lot of that because of the percentage of transfer revenue retained, but that pretty much sorts out the finances for now. We now have $20,000 in our transfer budget and just over £1,000 spare on the wage budget. So that is good. We might still actually need a left back. Hadn't actually thought of that when we did get rid of Nico Reblay. Maybe that's an area we look to supplement from Eintracht Frankfurt for this upcoming season, because at the moment just Linus Zimmer and Eric Vufak as a backup on both sides is our wing back option, of course, with Panzo Ernesto out at right back. So that is an area we might need to look at trying to pinch someone off Eintracht Frankfurt for on a free. But thankfully now the finances in a much better situation, albeit not an ideal situation the way that we had to get there, but we have got rid of Khalid Abdulrahmane for £55,000. And nothing else has happened off the back of that sale of Khalid Abdulrahmane as of yet. We are still looking at getting someone in from Eintracht Frankfurt to fill that backup wing-back spot in behind either Panzo Ernesto or Linus Zimmer, just to add that extra depth, which we probably need for this upcoming season. But now that the finances have been sorted out, we don't need to sell players quite as much as we did before. So I think our squad is settled going into this upcoming season. As you can see, the season has actually already started. We are one of the last teams playing in this first match week. I think what we're going to do is come back tomorrow and play our first 2 games of the season against RW Essen and Weham Wiesbaden, and see if we can get off to a good start yet again with a slightly new looking team here at Lokomotive Leipzig, albeit we will run through the team in today's episode, going with the same tactic we ended last season with, apart from the fact we're going to try Kevin Zizek as a deep-lying forward. I would like him to get some early confidence this upcoming season. Based on attributes, he should be a better striker than Jamal Ziani, so we'll give him that starting spot to start off this new season, and obviously if things don't work out, Jamal Ziani can go back in there, and hopefully playing with a deep-lying forward does mean we are a bit better with goals from our striker this upcoming season. We didn't get that many from them the past season. Most of our goals came from those midfielders who are on attack, but this will be our ideal starting 11 Going into the new season, Isadogan still in goal, Panzel, Ernesto, Eaglezeta, Search, and Zimmer in defence. Obviously, Zimmer got the start late last season over Replay and definitely has it now with no other left backs at the club. Mike Eaglezeta, though, could be a player we do still look to get rid of. I have transfer listed him just because he'd usually be a player I would look at selling. Obviously, got a lot more depth in that centre-back position now off the back of those free signings, which we did make, and at 31 years old, might be a good time to get rid of him. Also, he is opting to not stay here at the end of this season when his contract does expire, at least at the moment, so it might be a good time to try and get rid of the Centurion here at Lokomotive Leipzig, but at the moment, he is a bit better attribute-wise than the other centre-backs who are down on the bench. So he still has that spot for the start of the season, but that could change if we do get a decent bid come in for him to take him off of the books here. At Lokomotive Leipzig, the midfield is the area that is the most changed, of course, with that sale of Abdullah Mane. It does mean that Heinke's still there, as is Ricardo Grimm, albeit he probably won't start that first game in tomorrow's episode, only recommended for 45 minutes. It probably means that one of the newcomers in Tim Lehmann will actually start that game alongside Julian Weigl, who does step up in that role that Abdullah Mane did have. But for the start of the season, we're going to keep those central midfielders on attack. That was where a lot of our goals did come from last season. Could be quite useful if Zizek or Ziani continue to fail to fire. Owusu and Atilgan still out on the wings, but this season will be on attacking duty with our wingbacks both being defensive. And as I said up front, we're going to try Kevin Zek over Jamal Ziani, and hopefully that will get him to find some form a lot more than he had last season here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Hopefully a bit better in his second season up in the Free Liga. And going down to the bench, Daniel Hindu, our new centre-back, will be the cover down there. He can actually also play right back as well, so it does mean a little bit more versatility if we need it, with Eric Vrufak at the moment being a backup on both sides. At full back, also on the bench, we have Piplica and Grimm in the midfield, but obviously usually that would be Tim Lehmann if Ricardo Grimm was recommended to start a full game. And in terms of the bench wing options, Taylor Biddy, of course, found some really good form late last season when Owusu was injured, so is a very good bench option. Also, Anton Bulland, one of our new signings, will be the backup at left wing instead of Don Brower, who we still are looking to get rid of. He is on far too big a wage and does not have any more potentials. Definitely a player we are trying to get rid of. Also someone who does not want to renew their contract here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Obviously the backup striker is Jamal Ziani, and also down in amongst this first team squad, Mark Lamptey, just a little bit worse than our new signing in Daniel Hindu as a extra centre-back, and Nicholas Muller is still our backup goalkeeper. Unfortunately, haven't quite found someone at Eintracht Frankfurt better than Issa Dogan just yet, so I don't think we're going to be able to improve in that goalkeeping area unless we do find someone who does want a low wage. But as we do continue to progress as a professional club, it's becoming a little bit harder to find some decent players who want wages that do compare to the ones currently at the club, most of them after wages of around about £5,000 a week. Our top earner is Mike Owusu, still on only £2,000, so that is a little bit of a tricky area at the moment, trying to sign decent players on a free transfer, albeit in terms of the scouting budget. We do have £2,000 now in that and just over $20,000 in the transfer budget, so maybe we could sign someone a little bit older, but ideally we'd sign some good promising young players like the ones that we did get on freeze from both RB Leipzig and Bayer Leverkusen coming into this team, and obviously that has allowed us to sell some players that otherwise we probably wouldn't have, and has been able to sort out the finances here, at least in terms of transfer and wage. At Lokomotive Leipzig, a quick update on what that looks like now. Only in the red by just under £300,000, so it certainly helped in that regard, and obviously transfer budget, wage budget, a lot healthier than it was come the start of today's episode. Also, quite a few players that can be called up from down in the under-19s as well, based on current ability, the likes of Danny Hermel, Luca Vena, Lino Labonte, Falk Malhorn, and Lucas Lajorge, as well as the likes of John Unkapler, Malte Hackenberg, and Dieter Gamer, all players who we could call up if we do need to, once we eventually do get some injuries over the course of this Free Liga season. So it does feel like a squad that has a bit of depth to it when you also consider these players down in the under-19s. As I said, still looking to get someone in from Eintracht Frankfurt as a backup on either side at fullback. If we go over and have a look at the transfer tab, this is the player that we have gone after, mainly a right back, but that would mean that Vufak would be the backup left back for this upcoming season. But this is Ben Luca Fisher, 2.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. He should do a decent job as a backup for this upcoming season. If he does decide to join us, and that would be with no wage being paid at all, so a very good bit of business there off the back of finally getting a senior affiliate here at Lokomotive Leipzig. But I think that will do it for today's episode. Sorry about the lack of gameplay, but it did take a little bit longer than expected once I did realise the fact that some of those players that we did sign new to the club were a bit better than what I was expecting compared to what we already had in the first team. Just thought they would be players to prop up our under-19s, but it turns out players with quite high potential, so we may as well give them a chance to develop in the first team. So got rid of Nico Replay, Zaruba on loan, as well as Khalid Abdulrahmane. But that will do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed the transfers that we did get through, we'll just go over to the transfer history so you can see all that we have done. If you did enjoy it though, do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. As I said earlier, we'll come back tomorrow and get stuck in to the start of the season. We're going to play the first two games, RWS away and Wickham Wiesbaden at home, two teams last season. We did finish above them based on our preseason form, even though we did lose to a team from down in the regional Liga Nordost in Berliner AK. It was pretty good apart from that, so hopefully we can get off to a good start. Also a quick look at the season preview. Not as bad as it was last season, up in 14th, which is a little bit surprising considering the transfer business that we have done. But still, with some of those teams who are below us who can't get promoted, we potentially are still a team who are expected to get relegated. So it's a bit hard to tell with a couple of extra teams now who can't get promoted out of this division, but those odds certainly a lot better than they were last season. Hopefully this time around we can actually get promoted up to the 2 Bundesliga, and if that happens, we should certainly have a much bigger wage budget once we do get up to the second tier of German football. But we'll come back tomorrow and play those first two games of the season against RWS and Wickham Wiesbaden with a slightly new look team here at Lokomotive Leipzig. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Don't know